this computer.
Hi, Jake Porter and Zach Luther back with another mentor meeting. We're here to talk about a developmental learning needs and high incidence disabilities artifact that I made. We had to do like a little practice quiz. So, um, started here. Do like 8 questions. So the first question, which of the following is not an observed area of discrepancy between expected achievement and age when identifying SLD? I've got this little diagram here with all the SLDs. And so, they do phonetic, like oral expression, reading skills, math, reasoning, and the answer, of course, is life skills aren't really something that they take into account there.
When it comes to SLD, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I actually had to correct some things on here because I had put ADHD as an SLD, and they were like, um, maybe it
They
was,
count that as an OHI,
yeah, other health,
other health
yeah, other
impairment,
health,
right?
yeah,
Anything that kind of has to do with another one would be like an emotional disturbance of some sort. They don't
mhm,
count that as an SLD,
yeah,
but that's definitely geared towards life skills and whatever.
yeah. I remember reading that.
Oh yeah.
So two, what are four potential causes of an SLD? And this was from the reading. So, uh, what they told us was like acquired trauma, it could be neurological, genetic or hereditary, biochemical abnormalities, and also the environment. Um, I did a video like explaining this already. I had to do that as part of the assignment. And some of the things I said were like, like I think socioeconomic status and like location could be parts of it, but I don't think it's like what they said four causes were, right? Like, I think it could be a factor. You grow up in a different type of income environment, you could be more susceptible to things like ADHD or SLDs like that,
Yeah,
or OHIs. Yeah,
like yeah. I don't want to say typically, right? Because
there's all kinds of
there's
different.
all
Yeah,
different. Yeah,
I think maybe you're just more susceptible to it.
of course.
Higher probability.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like, mm, yeah, but like when it comes to like trauma and things like that,
Mhm.
typically that relates to um life skills type things, behaviors,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Typically, if it's like a specific learning disability, it can do with some genetic things, but it mostly has to do typically with kind of their childhood growing up and their skills and things like that.
Yeah.
Whether, and of course, ADHD, autism, those can affect those types of learning skills.
Hmm.
Cool.
Which of the following best describes a specific learning disability? And I put this on here because it was evident that I didn't have the definition down quite yet. So, a neurological disorder that affects a person's ability to read, write, or do math despite average or above average intelligence. So, when I had first done this question, I think I had asked something about ADHD. And of course, we talked about it being OHI. So, I changed it. I think it's interesting that they don't consider autism and things like that to be an SLD as much as they do. Um,
Yeah, because I think kind of like the breaking point is there are kids that have autism, but it doesn't affect their grade level
it's
standards.
more social.
It can be, but it could also be a mix.
Mm.
But since it's not every time,
Yeah,
then they're two separate things.
it's like the measure thing where like 3 out of 5 data opportunities, they're doing this, they're
Right.
passing that.
And I know like in some states, in fact, like the past district that I used is they had a specific learning disability, but then you had to actually, it was a specific learning disability in exactly reading or
Mm.
exactly math.
Yeah,
And like here, when I first got to Maryville, they kind of just had it was just SLD. That's just what they had.
okay.
So it kind of varies with that. But I do know it's like really black and white when it comes to if they struggle in that subject, that's a specific learning disability. If they have autism, so to say, then they will kind of write out what exactly is affected in their academics towards autism, whether if it's social or
Yeah.
academic, right?
So
Because
SLDs are more academic.
yes,
Yeah.
more pretty much academic. Now, one could be really good at math. Like that same kid could be really high off the charts in English and just
Hmm.
struggles with math.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. You know, I've had those cases.
Yeah. Okay, three types of ADHD are, I try to get tricky here with it's really close.
This is a good. This is a refresher for me. This one's a refresher.
Mhm.
So go take it away.
So predominantly attentive, predominantly hyperactive, or combined was the one that's like tricky, but the answer here is predominantly inattentive, predominantly hyperactive, and combined. And those are the three types. I know that like I'm blanking on what the definitions of those were, but I know like there was a difference. Like they had made a distinction between inattentive and hyperactive, where like inattentive is kind of like spacing out. Hyperactive is like your brain is so active that there's like boom,
Right.
boom, boom, boom.
Right.
Yeah.
It's either like not listening or they're listening to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Mhm.
Actually
And
was doing an assignment yesterday where I had to talk about instructional strategies for someone with ADHD, and I actually was able to reference, some of the things we've done. Like we're gonna
Mhm.
take them away from everybody else and give them repeated redirection when we get distracted.
Uh-huh. And in our age group that we're dealing with right now, um, it's very critical in this age group from junior high to high school with the hyperactivity ones because typically as they get older, their energy levels tend to,
Yeah.
right? So it's year to year, I can have someone that's super hyperactive as a freshman, but then by the time they're juniors, they've kind of mellowed out a
Mhm.
little.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. This is actually from Marilyn because she goes spelled me Mr. Pottery. So, in Mr. Pottery's class, a student named Jericho struggles to stay on task. His grades are slipping, and his parents want to know why. Mr. Pottery has observed Jericho struggle to follow directions, forget to turn in homework, and calling out during class lecture. True or false? Jericho is struggling with an SLD.
False.
False, right. That was another one I had to correct because
False.
before I had put which one is he struggling with, and the answer was ADHD, but it's not an SLD, so I had to change it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's false.
And if it was like, if that anywhere said like, well, great in English,
Mhm.
struggles in math, SLD.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think that ties into it though? Like if you can't focus, I would think that your grades would go down. You would suffer from a learning disability if you can't focus on anything. But is it like it's independent of that?
And it could be. That's why for SLDs, you're typically always giving progress monitoring and you're giving benchmarks towards that academic, right? So
Mhm.
you can really track the progress has nothing to do with actually class itself,
Okay.
right? So you poll them and things like that. Now, in this situation with Mr. Pottery's class, right? Then you attend on if let's say Mr. Pottery, he knows this is happening in his class,
Mhm.
right? Then it's important for Mr. Pottery and the special education teacher to maybe classroom observe other classes, see what's going on in the other classes. And if it's all the same going on,
Yeah.
then you're really not looking at an SLD. You're more looking at an other underlying factor, which
Mhm.
could be OHI, emotionally disturbed. Gosh, here they can go. Some of the places they call it oppositional defiance disorder.
Mhm.
There's one too, but some districts don't use that.
Hmm.
So it's all different.
Positional defiance disorder.
Yes,
I'll
yes,
have to
yes,
look
yes,
that
yes,
one
yes.
up.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So this was just a little statistic. Blank of individuals with ADHD have a relative with ADHD. And the answer is 1/3 of individuals, which I thought was pretty interesting because like we have some ADHD in my family, and I
Uh-huh.
was like, my brother has it pretty bad. He has to take medication for it. And my dad, we had talked about it. He was like, oh, I think I have some undiagnosed something because I struggle to focus sometimes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And this is something I try to look at like a lot, like personally, because I'm very interested in this.
Mhm.
So that's a good stat. But I'd also like to I'd like to know the research behind like, well, like what were their childhoods like what they do at the house, what they eat at the house, how
Mhm.
much they sleep at the house.
Yeah.
Those are kind of other side factors to it,
Mhm.
but I think genetically as well.
On one of the
I think.
assignments that I was doing, they gave a background on this girl, and we had to like come up with a plan for her. But the background was like her mom was a single mom working all the time. So when the kids would come home, he would leave them alone with laptop, iPad, TV.
And they say like now that's all coming to light, like
Yeah.
that's bad.
Hmm. Yeah.
So. It's very interesting how all this is kind of in the last couple years, maybe around COVID time, like the truth's coming out there with some of this stuff, like how you're supposed to, because I mean, 10 years ago, no one said anything about the laptops,
Hmm.
you know? So, or
Yeah.
techno iPhones, things like that.
10 years ago was my generation of high schoolers. You know, freshman year of high school was 2015, and we weren't talking about that.
Mind.
All right. So this one, the definition
OHI
of other health impairment includes having limited strength, vitality, or alertness,
can,
a heightened alertness to environmental stimuli that results in limited alertness with respect to the educational environment,
can,
chronic or acute health problems such as asthma, ADD, or ADHD, or all the above.
definitely all of the above on
Hmm.
all those. Gosh, we have close to all three of those here currently.
Yeah.
Um, you know, the one that kind of has a soft spot for me is we have a student that has had some surgeries and things like that, and it's hard to get him to school.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like there's with OHI, there's not just one like pinpoint,
Yeah.
it's a mix of
From
a
all
lot
over
of
the
things
place.
like society, like peer conflicts, peer issues, inability to learn, maybe some sight things.
Hmm.
And we talk about, I think you know who I'm talking
Yeah.
about now, like can't see very well, gets headaches.
Yeah.
And there's really like he's gone to the doctors to get help and they're really not sure either. And it's just some
Can't say I
days,
blame him.
yeah, it's tough. Some days are good, some days are bad. And it's just every day is a little different.
Yeah.
So
This one here. Which strategy would be the most useful for Mr. Pottery in helping Jericho bring his grades up? So we talked a little bit about this already.
so what type of disability are we talking about here?
So that he was the one that had ADHD.
ADHD.
That was more clear previously, but I had to
That's
change
right.
the question.
That's right. Okay, so structure and routine, minimize distractions, open discussion, seating change, isolation, planned ignoring, positive reinforcement, seating change. Definitely structure and routine.
Hmm.
Someone with ADHD, you got to make sure that they know exactly what's going on beforehand
Yeah.
and kind of lay it out to them.
I've had a lot of success with like just being one-on-one with a kid. And if they're struggling to focus or like, kind of isolate them and then just redirect. Like, now let's get back to this, let's do
That
this.
happens more and more. Like great one-on-one, incredible conversations gets the work done.
Yeah.
You put them in a little different environment and distraction city.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Okay, so that is it for that,
Okay.
but we have a few more things to talk about.
Awesome.
Um, Reflect on what will be crucial for keeping your implementation plan on course and achieving your SMART goals. So my SMART goal I made for myself was I'm going to dedicate an hour each day towards completing homework for the next 4 weeks.
Nice.
This will help me manage my time and reduce stress.
Okay.
I've been okay with I say about 75-80% with this because I've been knocking it out gradually,
Uh-huh.
but if I don't keep to my routine, it's really difficult.
Okay. Now, an easy one, like with that SMART goal, everything's right on there. And it's common sense. It's like either you did the hour work of or not.
Hmm.
It's just how would you measure it?
Yeah.
So like, are you grading yourself or someone looking at it for you? Like,
Yeah. I usually measure it by like I say, okay, I have module 2.2. I would like to do that today.
yeah,
Right. Like my goal is to finish module 2.2 in X amount of time.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's it. Nice.
And two original discussion questions. What strategies work the best for you with kids with ADHD?
I think you nailed it on the head. Like proactively laying it out there for them. This is what we're doing. This is what we're not doing today. Like having a proactive kind of conversation with that going on. And then kind of offering like a what's at stake.
Mhm.
Like not to say like not like in a threatening way,
Yeah.
but just say if we get this time frame done, if we do this, then
Mhm.
we're gonna do this. Maybe
Right.
something that they like to do, or some type of break, something where they see something on the horizon
Yeah.
is usually that's something that works kind of well.
We've been flying through some lessons in Mr. Stanley's because he's got the Inside Out 2 on
Yeah,
there, and the kids are like really excited to try to get done so they can watch the movie the last couple minutes of class.
cool.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's
Great.
that's exactly it. And that's not just for students with ADHD. That's for anybody.
Everybody,
That's for
yeah.
anybody.
Okay, so what areas do you think I should improve to better assist kids that struggle with these SLDs?
Well, it's always important to kind of know where the kid is at like baseline, or what I mean by that is like their current instructional level on where they're at. And then, we have a variety of resources on like, well, for that grade level, for that instructional level, here's what they should know and here's what they shouldn't know. So to find like the foundation first and then build from there is very, very good. And of course, typically students with SLDs, they get maybe embarrassed, right?
Yeah.
So to pull them in the right setting or the right time of the day,
Mhm.
to see how they are first, to see if they're that day like able to want to get better and able to want to learn, and not just like an everyday like slamming them, slamming them, slamming them. I think that's important. So it's important to know their knowledge, and it's important to know the student.
Yeah. I think I like to, even with our kids that don't have SLDs, if I hear them say, gosh, I'm so stupid, I try to redirect that because like that you internalize that. Like,
Of course.
I have this disability, so I'm dumb and I'm
Right.
never going to be smart ever. Like, I'm never going to learn, right? So then you don't want to try.
Right. And there's always something with those students or any student that they're good at.
Yeah.
So to like really make sure that they remember the things that they really are excelling at.
Asset-based approach.
And everyone
Yeah.
needs work. It's human behavior that everyone's trying to work on something. It's everybody.
Mhm.
So to find those things that they're good at, to find the time when they're able to learn, and then to find the right environment for them to like not be embarrassed.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it. That's it.
Cool. We're good.
That's it.
Yeah.
That was great.